We are back. Fellas. Juan is in here in the chat. He says, we are back. We don't do the stuff, but we are back. And the football season, the fantasy football season is underway. Unfortunately for myself, in my redraft leagues, I don't have anybody playing tonight, and I'm going up against a healthy helping of Amon-Ra St. Brown in both leagues, which is not going to be fun. But yeah, I'm totally excited, man. I'm just excited to watch football, right? Like, and I know as soon as this game is done, I'm going to be all right. Bring on Sunday, bring on the red zone. But it's a nice little taste for sure.
Amen, amen. And you mentioned you don't have anybody playing in your home league. Well, my home league, I just so happen to have both Jahmyr Gibbs and Sky Moore in my starting lineup for tonight's game. And it seems like half my team basically is just playing on prime time because I do have the Allen Diggs stack. I also have Tony Pollard playing on Sunday Night Football. By the way, I did not expect this going into my home league. I'll just say it to you guys, the 19 of you so far in chat, but I didn't expect everybody would just be bleeding blue in the draft room. I'm expecting, prototypical home league dynamic. People are smashing running backs. I'm going to get some great wide receiver values. My draft board got to the point where me, the running back hater, had to do a modified double here RB with Tony Pollard in the second and Jahmyr Gibbs in the third because everybody was taking all the good wide receivers early, which, I mean, that just kind of goes to show that they're doing more research, which is good.
Yeah, I'm looking around at some of my, even in my dynasty leagues, I have one through my knowledge, I have one Amon-Ra share in a dynasty league. And that's what I got rolling tonight, but that's pretty much it. So it's going to be a little bit of a light night for you, boy. I do have a couple bets. I don't know where Matt is in the chat, but he's going to probably ask what they are.
He's going to watch it back and comment 100% if he's not in already.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I saw this boosted thing there that said both teams score a touchdown and a field goal in each half.
Money.
Yeah. You know what the odds are on it?
Plus 400?
19-1.
What?
Yeah.
All right, go cook.
Yeah, so I put $50 on that. I'm like, it's like $1,000 payout if it hits.
Good luck, brother. Good luck.
Anyway.
So Juan asked Breece, Javonte, Pacheco, and Mostert must start too. So I know you're going to be working on the running backs this week. So for the record, people were wondering like when are the running back start sits, when are the wide receiver start sits happening, and we weren't sure if we were going to go week 2 on. No, we are going to come at you tomorrow with the wide receivers. I'm going to bring you. Corey's going to be bringing you the running backs on Saturday. So you're handling the running backs. I'll let you answer first, and I'll kind of augment where I have them ranked.
Yeah, and also for what it's worth, our weekly rankings are live. The weekly rankings tab that you guys, if you signed up on Underdog this summer, of course, we got a lot of new signups. Getting the draft guide, you also get the weekly rankings as well. So if you have a start set question, you just want to hop in here real quick and get an answer. Our weekly rankings are up to date. I just updated mine like 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, same.
So they should be good to go as of the Travis Kelce's going to be out kind of news and that kind of thing. And of course, if you want our weekly rankings, we also have like the matchup charts that I broke down in. Earlier today, I broke down the video with the Vegas, stuff, the over-unders, the spreads, where the sharps are betting, all that good stuff I broke down. But yeah, that's how you can get our rankings if you guys were curious. But to answer Juan's question here, I personally would like to see what happens with these ACL bros here. I would probably sit them and see what happens. I know you probably drafted them way before Pacheco and Mostert, but that's probably why you drafted Pacheco and Mostert is because Breece Hall and Javonte Williams, both of these guys, we're not exactly sure what to expect from them coming off of their torn ACLs. We expect probably a ramp-up period with Dalvin Cook involved and with Samaje Perine involved. So Pacheco's in a great matchup, 54-point over-under. Sharps are actually betting on the over right now. Raheem Mostert in a 51-point over-under game with Devon Achane, who's back at practice now, will probably be involved in the game plan, but I still expect Mostert to be the starting guy with Achane being a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, I actually agree here. I have, so currently in my rankings, I have Isaiah Pacheco as my running back 16. You just mentioned the matchup factors at hand. Yeah, well, of course, we can't expect that 3-down workload, but if he's going to be the goal line back for the potential, 30, 35-point scoring Kansas City Chiefs, especially with Kelce out of the lineup, I think it's an underrated fact that once they get down to the goal line, like we're not going to see those gimmicky little Travis Kelce routes that they always seem to pull out of their ass. Like maybe they start running the ball. And if Isaiah Pacheco has more opportunities inside the 5, inside the 10, that only boasts well for his fantasy football projection. So like I said, he's my running back 16 this week. Running back 17 is actually Raheem Mostert right behind him. So those are the clear 2 in my rankings. And for reference, if you wanted to know where Breece and Javonte were, I have currently Breece Hall as my RB30 and Javonte as my RB29. I just kind of want to play it by year, see what happens in week 1, want to see that full development from the ACL. And come week 2, if they show that they can handle the workload, I have no problem moving them back up to running back 2+ status.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are going to have Javonte and Breece Hall questions. I will say
Yep.
both of them are outside of my top 24 running backs. I have
Same.
Javonte at 26 and I have Breece Hall at 28. So there's a number of guys that I would start over those players that, maybe you wouldn't traditionally think. Like I would start both Raheem Mostert and Isaiah Pacheco.
Brian
So
Robinson.
yeah, yeah. So it looks like we got a super from somebody if you want to
Yep.
jump down to that one, and then
I'll
I'll
click that
get
right
us
now.
back on track.
Click that right now. Aggie, appreciate the $5 super chat. Aggie says, pick 2 running backs, Gibbs, Dobbins, Brees, and Javonte. Then 2 flex out of Deontay, Johnson, Ayuk, Dotson, Sky, or the leftovers from the running back. So for me, I'll just answer real quick. Gibbs and Dobbins are guys I'm very, very high on this week. So in terms of Gibbs, he's currently my RB10 in my rankings, assuming it's a PPR format. If you want to ding him a little bit in half PPR, he's still relatively a top 15 running back for me regardless. And J.K. Dobbins, I currently have ranked as my running back 12. So they're the clear starts at running back. In terms of the 2 flexes, let me just quickly check my wide receiver rankings, but I do believe the highest 2 options I have are Deontay Johnson and Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, I actually have Dotson ahead of Deontay. Um,
Spicy.
the reason is because the 49ers Steelers game is going to have a lot of steam on the under.
I actually do have Dotson higher.
Dotson, Terry McLaurin's coming in banged up. I'm expecting kind of, I mean, the Cardinals and Commanders game, for what it's worth, is like a 38 point over under too. So it's not like either of those games are expected to be high scoring, but given that McLaurin's coming in banged up, and the Commanders are 7-point favorites against the Cardinals, and a team that probably won't be able to move the ball on offense very much. They should dominate the time of possession. So it's a close discussion, but Ayuk is clearly in my lineup there, and then Dotson would be the other guy. I understand wanting to put Sky Moore out there because it's Thursday Night Football, and you're like, oh, I just want to watch.
He's not far off.
It's not an outrageous thing to do, but I probably wouldn't do it.
I agree. And for the record, I actually do have Dotson a couple spots ahead of Ayuk, or not Ayuk, ahead of Deontay. So for reference, I have currently Brandon Ayuk at 24, Jahan Dotson at 26, Deontay at 28, and Sky Moore's currently my wide receiver 31 in my rankings. I was tempted to put him even higher, but I mean, right now, wide receiver 31 seems well above consensus, so I'm fine with landing at that number.
Yep, yeah, for sure. Looks like we had another super if you want to jump to
I'll
that
go
one real
right
quick,
to
too.
it. So appreciate the super here from Brandon. He says, hey guys, would you trade away Kenneth Walker and CeeDee Lamb for Jamar Chase? Current team is Daniel Jones, Bijan Robinson, Kenneth Walker, CeeDee Lamb, Amon St. Brown, and Jahan Dotson. His other running backs, he says, are Jalen Warren, Tank Bigsby, and Zach Charbonnet. Thanks. Given the fact that you're already built like extremely strong at wide receiver and you're kind of struggling at running back if you do lose K9, I think I would hold the Walker and Lamb size, but I would also say it fully depends on how many players you start in your starting lineup. If it's a 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, you want to take the gamble and go after the pure superstar. I don't mind, affording some depth there. But if it's like a 2 wide receiver, 3 flex league, or 3 wide receiver, 2 flex league, and you need those depth players, absolutely hold the 2, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think regardless of format, this is just too much to pay for Chase, in my opinion. I think with Lamb versus Chase, you're getting a difference for sure, but like you're
2
getting
points per
a
game,
guy that's
3.
23 point per game upside versus 21 point per game upside, and then baseline projection of like 18 to 16 or something like that. So I personally would hold K9's too good of an option for me to be trading away. If you're giving away like Pacheco or something like that, I would say, I'd be down to do this, but K9's he was a top 14 running back for me coming into the season.
Well, let me see if I can find a name that's like right on the edge there. So I'm assuming if it's like Joe, I was gonna say like Dobbins, of course, but if it like you would easily do this if it was like Joe Mixon, Najee Harris guys. Okay.
Yeah.
So like the tier right there is like once you get to the Dobbins Walker area, that's kind of when you want to hold the CD side.
Yeah, I think
it's
too much to give up for Jamar Chase. As much as we're never going to regret trading for Jamar Chase. I still think it's a slight bit too much.
Yeah, no, I agree with that analysis there. Got another super chat quickly from Trojan. He says, PPR in case Christian Watson sits, should he start Michael Thomas, Brandon Ayuk, or Jordan Addison? So in terms of my rankings, Brandon Ayuk is a clear tier above those other 2. But
I would play Ayuk even if Watson was playing.
Yeah, I would too. For the record. So the way I would rank these options in order would be Brandon Ayuk, assuming Christian Watson does play. Let's say he suits up in practice fully either on Friday or on Saturday. I would go with him second. Addison would be my number 3. And you can make the argument with Michael Thomas being higher, but I kind of just want to see him play it out, be fully healthy in week 1. And again, I know a lot of people will say, well, he's going to be the wide receiver 2. It's got a good favorable matchup against Tennessee. he just hasn't played football in 2 years. I just kind of want to see him just fucking play football. I fell into that trap last year. He looked great last year after week 1. We were literally in Texas when we saw him absolutely blow up in that game. I think he had 2 touchdowns, over 60 yards, looked really good. And then by week 3, of course, we know the song and dance with Michael Thomas this past year.
Yeah, especially that game environment's going to be a little bit slower paced too. The
Yeah.
Addison, the Vikings Buccaneers game is supposed to be a lot more higher paced. But yeah, Ayuk would be the guy that I would go with there. Are we good on the supers? Can I go back to the
Yeah,
top?
we're all caught up on the supers. Actually, we just got one as I said that. So quick note, Theo does ask, appreciate the super nonetheless. He says first team half PPR. He says pick 2 Sky, Brees, Javonte Williams. So in the order of my rankings right now, I actually have it. Sky for sure would actually be in here, to be honest, because I don't want to trust both ACL backs. And I have both of these running backs ranked back to back in my rankings. I would slightly prefer Javonte given the matchup at hand there against the Las Vegas Raiders. But I am curious to see which of the ACL bros do you prefer this week?
Yeah, I'll take Javonte as well. Just given the fact that as much as I don't think Dalvin Cook is very good anymore, I still think he's going to work in more than Samaje Perine will work in the Denver Broncos backfield. So yeah, I would go with Javonte Williams and Sky Moore. And he also says in a second team full PPR flex start Javonte Williams, Addison, Sky. Very clearly Jordan Addison for me in full PPR there.
I actually have
He does have Mahomes, so I understand wanting to stack him up. I personally would still go Addison.
I have Sky higher.
All right, write it down, Spicy.
Write it down, Spicy.
PPR, Jordan Addison versus Sky Moore.
The reason why I'm so bullish on Sky, obviously, the song and dance about his prospect profile. Obviously, Addison was a better prospect coming out. Where I'm not going to argue that, but the fact that he's worked into 2 wide receiver sets, and like he even covered in the breakouts video, that the Chiefs have run 11 or 12 personnel on 86% of their sets. If he's getting that opportunity and he's playing next to Justin Watson, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, the corpse of what's Kadarius Toney, like, is he even going to be fully healthy? Are we sure he's not going to get nicked up by the first quarter? I don't know. The one thing I do know is that Sky Moore of that entire wide receiver group is the one that can command targets. So I might have to bite my lip a little bit if he does, completely just not do anything tonight, but I do think there's a real good case that he can get 8, 9, 10 targets on what should be, a 30, 35 plus point projection for the Chiefs.
Yeah, if we get a primetime performance out of Sky Moore, I'm going to be throwing him on the trade block in a couple dynasty leagues, if I'm being honest. But I mean, it's I understand it. It's a high game total. Tony's probably going to play like 10 snaps like he usually does, and but I just trust Addison's role more. And that game total also, for what it's worth, was like 47 points, and I expect it to probably go over as well. So I like the environment for both situations.
For sure. So we're caught up on super, so we can just zoom by as many start sits as we possibly can.
Are you sure? I thought I just saw one.
I just read it. Oh, actually, there's another one? Okay. Never mind. Pedro, another super chat. Appreciate that. I thought that was the notification from the other one. So he says, hey guys, 2 flex spots, Mike Williams, Brees Hall, Javonte Williams, Sky Moore, and DJ Moore. As much as I like Sky Moore, I think you got to go with the 2 other wide receivers here with Mike Williams and DJ Moore, especially if this is a full PPR.
Yeah, kind of bad matchups for both guys. Mike Williams expected to see shadow coverage from X Howard, and DJ Moore, not shadow coverage from Jair, but like it is a bad matchup. The Packers are pretty good against the pass, but I think just given the roles that those 2 guys have, it's pretty difficult to sit them for Sky Moore. As much as it could pay off, and we kind of just wax poetic about Sky Moore's role. I still think you got to go with Mike Williams and DJ Moore there.
Yeah, I agree. And for the record with Mike Williams, I currently have him ranked as my wide receiver 20. And in terms of DJ Moore, he's currently my wide receiver 22 this week. So I think both of them are top 24 level plays.
Yeah, I think I have them 21 and 23 respectively. So yeah, both of those guys are pretty good options. So let's move it back up to the top here. We got Lasardo. For what it's worth, if you guys don't get your questions answered, we will be doing private live streams for our site subscribers every Saturday at noon. So if you guys want to make sure you get your questions answered every single week, we'll give you in-depth answers, that kind of thing. Definitely check out the site, flockfantasy.com/FSE. Every Saturday at noon, we will be doing a private live stream over there. So Lasardo says, yo, what's good, fellas? What's going on? Noah Gray or Juwan Johnson? Also, just absolutely disgusting decision. I honestly, is Gerald Everett on your waiver wire? Because I would much rather start Gerald Everett.
Jake Ferguson on your waiver wire? Like any of those guys? Like I don't want to start either of these guys.
If you have to start one of these 2 guys, I know you're a New Orleans Saints fan. Just give me Juwan Johnson probably. I don't trust Noah Gray to be a starting tight end with Kelsey. I know he's like technically the Kelsey handcuff at tight end, but they elevated Matt Bushman from the practice squad. I think they're just going to run like a committee thing. I actually liked Matt Bushman.
Matt Bushman's a channel classic, baby. Matt Bushman.
He went undrafted because he was like 27 years old when he was coming out of school, but he actually had some pretty decent tape at BYU. But either way, I just don't think Noah Gray is going to just inherit Travis Kelce's role, which is why I don't want to play him. So I'd go Juwan Johnson there.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Give me Juwan.
And do we like Sky Moore tonight over Michael Thomas?
Yes,
Yes, I
easily.
do like Sky Moore over Michael Thomas. We back. What's going on, Spicy?
We
He's
back,
in the back
baby.
seat moderating for us here. Juan says DK was my flex, but with Cup out, I had to move him to wide receiver 2. Who should I pick up from waivers? Already picking up waiver
Sky.
guys in week 1. Definitely not a good
Sky.
sign. Sky Moore 100% is your best option there.
Without
He
a
does
doubt.
say he has Elijah Moore, Judy, and Flowers on his bench, but I actually
Sky.
do prefer Sky of those options. And make sure you move him into your wide receiver 2 spot because he is playing tonight and you don't want to burn your flex on Thursday night.
Hey, over under for about 40% of the questions tonight being Sky Moore, Javonte Williams based. Actually, you know what?
Yeah.
Honestly, like you could probably put 80% that it's going to be Sky Moore, Javonte Williams, or Brees Hall mentioned in the question.
I'll get some David Montgomery questions. We're going to get some David Montgomery questions.
Speaking
for sure.
speaking of, would you rather start Rachaad White or David Montgomery? I currently have Rachaad White ranked higher, but I do see the case for David Montgomery to have a solid game.
Yeah, I have Rachaad White higher as well. It's a good game environment. I mean, they're both good game environments, but Rachaad White, by all accounts, I mean, he's probably going to get a majority share of the work, and I expect Jahmyr Gibbs to at least be a split backfield with David Montgomery. It's very possible David Montgomery punches in a touchdown or 2 tonight, but I think Rachaad White, from a workload perspective, is a better bet. And the Vikings defense is ass, like and it has been for a couple years. So even if the Bucks aren't the best on offense, I think that Rachaad White will be able to get some work done.
Yep, appreciate that. Nonetheless, though, appreciate the $2 super chat. Got another super chat from Uncaged the Lion, $9.99. Appreciate that. He says 12-team PPR, no tight end, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 2 flex. He says Deshaun Watson, Cooper Kupp fell before injury to the 112. That's pain now looking back. London, Ayuk, Lockett, Elijah Moore, Pitts, who we got in round 10. In terms of the team, I think there's a fucking stacked team, to be quite honest. Obviously, you got to bite the bullet with Cooper Kupp until he comes fully back, but for now at least, like your team's all loaded. Just move him to the IR if you have an IR spot. Obviously, I guess technically he hasn't fully been put on IR yet, but if he doesn't play this week, I'm assuming he's probably going to get a PRP injection, which is what I've heard from I believe it was Dr. Brian Sutterer, I think, did a video talking about the Kupp injury, and he basically says he's seeing a specialist right now. What I'm assuming is they're going to recommend he get a PRP injection. If he does get a PRP injection, it should be about a 2 to 3 week recovery, hence the IR tag. So if he does get the IR, you can slide him in there. But in terms of the team, like Ayuk and London are going to be Ayuk, London, and Lockett are going to be able to get you by, in my opinion.
Well, he says 2 wide receiver, 2 running back, 2 flex. So I think he needs 6 of these options. So Ayuk, London, Lockett, Chubb, Dobbins are for sure in your lineup.
Yep.
And I think I'm still like, as much as you don't really want to play 2 Atlanta Falcons, I think I would throw Pitts as the next option there because it comes down to like Kyle Pitts versus like Elijah Moore versus Brees Hall. I think I just lean Kyle Pitts against the Panthers there, so that's probably the direction I would go there. He also says trades too. I mean, I don't love having 2 Atlanta Falcons pass catchers on my team. It sounds like people are quite high on or quite low on Kyle Pitts in your league if you got him in round 10. So what I would do is probably sell Drake London in that situation and see kind of if you can kind of just transition 1-for-1 to a similarly ranked player like DJ Moore, or maybe you can get up to I'm trying to think, like maybe you can get up to I guess you already have Lockett too. I was gonna say maybe you can get up to Metcalf or Debo, but those literally have their teammates already as well. I don't know, maybe Keenan Allen if you're high on the Chargers or something like that.
For sure. So we're all covered there. I mean, for the most part, it sounds like you're pretty much covered from the startability. And good luck, brother. Obviously, losing Cup sucks, but at the end of the day, at least you were able to build up quality depth to get over the hump. Got another super chat here from Just One. He says, pick 2 PPR, Madison, Gibson, Hall, Pacheco. So Pacheco would actually be my highest ranked here. And I'd be tempted to play Gibson, but it's just too hard not to play Madison, given the over-under, or not given the over-under, given the status that they're going to be favorites against Tampa Bay. They should be in a run-reliant type of script, obviously, once they go up. Sorry, Bush, they're probably going to go up big pretty early in that game. And
I think it'll be a close game, personally.
The
steam's on the Buccaneers. It's 47-point over-under, so it is a high over-under. And the steam's on the Bucs right now. So I would imagine it's going to be probably a decent, like, back and forth. The Vikings defense is bad. And not that I think Baker's going to be great, but I think they can do enough. The wide receivers, I mean, the Bucs wide receivers are notoriously very good in good matchups. Like you can just look back anytime Mike Evans has had a great matchup, he smashes. It always happens.
Carolinas of the world.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. Ask Pat Kerrane how he does in good matchups.
Now
he didn't even have him on his roster, did he? He had Brady. He didn't have Evans.
He didn't have Evans. Wow.
He had Brady and Godwin, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, with that being said, though, like if Gibson had the backfield to himself, I would have said Gibson. But because he's still, splitting touches, they could be up pretty early. That that game could get pretty ugly. I would just go with Alexander Madison and Isaiah Pacheco here. I'm assuming you agree.
Yeah, although PPR makes it a little closer for Gibson. Like, I mean,
Yep.
Pacheco's probably not going to catch a whole lot of passes, and Gibson probably will catch a couple. So,
Yep. Appreciate the super chat nonetheless. Just one. Alfredo, an OG of the chat. I think he's been around for at least 2+ years at this point, maybe even 3 years since we started the
yeah, this
channel.
might be
So,
his third season if
uh,
I had to guess.
big shout out. He says, Standard League, who should I start? Sky Moore, Addison, Elijah Moore, or just wait to see what happens with Christian Watson? I also have Mims and Bateman. Got him as my wide receiver 2, went double hero running back, which in a standard league is what I'd recommend anyways. You kind of want to
Yeah.
get the running back position handled, knowing that wide receiver incentive isn't quite as pushed as a half or full PPR. In terms of this example, though, so out of those wide receivers, I would definitely say if Watson, I mean, you're not going to know if Watson sits yet. I'd probably just start Sky Moore, honestly. Like, I don't want to
I
deal
wouldn't.
with.
I would start. Well, I mean, we
You think
literally
so?
have a bet on this. I would start Addison if Watson isn't ready to
Right.
go. Is probably what I would do.
Right. I do see Addison there now. I mean, for what it's worth, I have Addison relatively close ranked. Even though I have Sky Moore higher, I have Addison relatively in the ballpark. So, like you said, you may as well just wait for the risk there on Christian Watson because I would prefer him over both if he does log in a full practice.
Yeah, I mean, for
It's a
what
good
it's
call.
worth, in a standard league, you're looking for a touchdown. This is the highest point
Yeah.
total game of this decision. So, I mean, Sky Moore is not a bad option either. I honestly don't think you can really go wrong there. So, we caught up.
Great. We got one more from Atomic. Appreciate that. Another OG from the chat. I'm back, boys. Mostert or Monty in week 1 PPR. That's relatively close for me, but I do prefer
Not for
Raheem
me. I have
Mostert.
Mostert way higher.
So where do you have? So I currently have. I mean, it's actually a bigger discrepancy than pretty close, but I have Mostert ranked as my running back 17, I believe. Running back 17 versus running back 24 for Monty.
Okay, yeah, so we're on the same page. I
Oh,
have I
okay.
have Mostert running back 19 and Montgomery running back 24. So
Okay.
it's relatively close.
Fair. I just meant in terms of ranking. Yeah, I would prefer
Yeah, I actually
Mostert.
I tier separated my rankings a little bit for the running back position
Makes
because
sense.
I'm obviously doing the tier list video. So yeah, I have Mostert a tier ahead of where I have Montgomery right now.
Makes sense. So far we are all caught up, and let's try to smash as many of these comments as possible.
Yeah, Andrew said he's all decked out in his
Let's
blue and
go.
silver. He's ready to go for the
Go.
Motor City. Love to see
Good
it.
luck,
Yeah,
brother.
rep your teams tonight for sure. Hey, yo, real quick, start 3: Javonte, Dobbins, Gibbs, Brees, Khalil Herbert,
Gibbs,
Bryce Young,
Dobbins,
full PPR.
easy.
Bryce Young. What are we
Uh,
doing here, Spice? Is Super Flex League?
Gibbs, Dobbins, and Bryce for me.
Yeah, that's probably where I'm going as well. In that decision there, he's nodding in the background there.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
so Lakin
Yep.
saying the same thing. Rate my squad this year: Hertz, Cup, Amon-Ra, DK, Hawkinson, Brees, Javonte. I mean, it looks like a hell of a unit there. He said, unfortunately, took Cup with my first pick, but I think you should be able to get by there. One.
Yep, agree with you there, Juan. We got a couple more supers quickly to get to. Black Canvas, appreciate the $2 super chat. He says start 2 Ayuk, Mostert, or London.
Fuck,
I
that's
mean, Ayuk's going on my bench here. I
I
don't
would
want it to be.
JC's expected to shadow London, so I'd probably just use that as a tiebreaker, and I'd go with
So
Mostert and Ayuk.
you have Ayuk rated higher than London, eh?
I do. Yeah,
Okay,
I do.
I have London a little bit higher.
Yeah, I would separate it just because that game's the worst point total of this decision point, like the Falcons and Panthers game, and also JC Horn is in the
Fair.
video today I said he may shadow, but somebody told me in the
Okay.
comment section that he is going to shadow. I'm just believing them at their word, but for the most part,
Fair.
I think that Drake London is still a good play, but I prefer those other two guys.
Yeah, that's respectable. So the only micro difference there is Ayuk versus London, but we both have Mostert
And
into
for
our
what it's worth, in
lineups.
full PPR, you could convince me on the two wide receivers too.
Yep, no, that's fair. Another super chat from Mark Gravy says Kirk or McKinnon half PPR. I'm going with Christian Kirk pretty easily
Yeah,
there.
dude, they have such a good matchup this week against the
Yep.
Colts.
So we're all caught up on supers now. Again, appreciate you guys for the consistent support. Over 200 people in here concurrently watching. So for the opening Thursday, it means a lot for you guys or for
Yeah,
us that you guys are
yeah,
here.
absolutely. And the other thing too, again, if you guys do want your questions answered, a bunch of people have filed in since I said this the first time. We will have a private live stream on Flock Fantasy. So, I mean, some people have, like, super chatted like $10. That's like a month on pretty much on Flock Fantasy when you use the promo code FSE. And all, I mean, like, we appreciate the
Underdog
super
Fantasy
chat,
as well.
I'm telling you, it's probably gonna be cheaper for you in the long run to just sign up on the site, and you'll
For
get the
sure.
weekly rankings and all that good stuff as well. So,
For sure. And
Bobcat, what's up, boys?
just
What's going on?
just quick
What up?
mention too, if they want to get the weekly rankings, if you guys haven't already signed up on Underdog as well, you could literally put $10 in, get a deposit match, and get access to them as well. So the $10 super chat, like you're going to be able to see our weekly rankings just by depositing on Underdog, basically.
Yeah, for sure. How do you think Tony does today? Don't put him in your lineup. I don't think he's going to do a whole lot of anything, to be honest. He hasn't been out there in all of training camp. He's probably not really on my radar altogether until he starts to ramp up and get close to like a starting receiver for that team, which I'm not even convinced will ever happen at any point this season, because I personally think that Sky Moore is a better receiver than he is. So
Agreed.
it's really all going to depend. If you have Tony, just to hold him on your bench and kind of wait and see what happens. Maybe if he has like a long touchdown on like a low snap share tonight, you sell him or something.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that analysis. Got a couple more supers
Go
here,
ahead.
real quick. For first one from Nika, Swift or Gibson, full PPR. Give me Antonio Gibson here. Like that matchup against the Cardinals, like there's a real
I'll
possibility.
take you on this one. I'll take Swift.
You
Over
want
Gibson.
Swift? Okay,
Yeah, I'll take
I
Swift.
will bet you right now with
Yeah,
Antonio
let's do
Gibson.
it. Write it down. Swift
Write it down,
versus Gibson.
spicy.
The only reason I'm taking Swift is because I think that Swift has a better workload than Gibson. We're
Yeah,
not
fair.
guaranteed really anything that Gibson's going to be the starting back there. It's possible that he like only logs like a 30-40% snap share if it's like a negative game script for pass catchers, which it could be. I mean, they could kill the Cardinals, and then Brian Robinson's going to be running the ball out most of the time. So I'll take Swift there. The
Yep.
Eagles and Patriots game, for whatever reason, Vegas thinks it's going to be really close. It's like a 2.5-point spread, and the Sharps actually like the
weird.
Patriots. So,
Wow.
it's weird. But I like this. I like the Swift side of this in full PPR. I mean, they're both pass catching running backs. So
Yeah, no, that's fair. I keep looking back to the fact that one's playing against, a relatively tough New England defense. I mean, even if it's, personnel wise, they aren't where they've been in the past. Like it's still Bill
they're
Belichick. Whereas
tougher
on the
against wideouts, though, right? So if
for
AJ
sure,
Brown
for
and
sure.
Smitty are struggling, then Swift could catch a couple balls.
No, that's absolutely fair. I just think that the Cardinals might be running a JV unit on defense at this current point outside of Buda
It's not gonna
Baker.
be great.
So
Definitely.
appreciate that. Another super sticker from Zach. He also has a question here I'll quickly get to because I'm assuming he meant to attach it. He says Kirk or Mike Williams. I'd personally prefer Mike Williams.
That's they're literally back to back in my rankings.
Where do you have Kirk?
So the Mike Williams has the better point spread. Like the game is supposed to be 51 points. Dolphins will put up points on the other side of the ball. He has the worst matchup because he's going to get shadowed by Xavier Howard. And Christian Kirk has a really easy matchup. I would say I lean Mike Williams, just lean into the point spread of the Dolphins Chargers game, but I honestly could be convinced on either one. They're both really good, like wide receiver 2 plays this week.
Yeah, that's fair. So we'd both go with Mike Williams there. Zach, we got another super chat here from Uncaged. Appreciate that. Double dipping today. He says, by the way, back-to-back champ. Thanks to y'all and Mason. Appreciate that, Uncaged. Glad to hear that you did or were able to secure back-to-back titles in your league. He said he lost one game from week 5 between 2021 and 2022, and my league mates are decently sharp. I mean, kudos, brother. You absolutely took him to the woodshed, man. I fucking love it. Fucking love it. Real quick, too, I did see, I believe it was Zach. He says, will you guys have fully weekly rankings by position available on Flock? So I mean, you're going to know is our weekly rankings manifesto is going to be available on Flock. So,
yeah. So let me just break down real quick everything that's in there. So there's tab by tab week 1 rankings from myself and from Danny. And it's quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, 1 quarterback overall, super flex. I did my defenses and my kickers. I don't know if you did, but I did my defenses and my kickers.
I haven't yet.
As well as the week by week matchups tab will have like adjusted fantasy points allowed to running backs, adjusted fantasy points allowed to wide receivers, DVOA differences between the two teams, and that kind of stuff. A lot of really in-depth stuff that I broke down. If you haven't watched earlier today's video, go definitely watch that because I broke down all the features of it. And then like over under, implied point totals, sharp money, spreads, sharp money on the spreads, and all that kind of stuff will also be in the weekly rankings as well. And like Danny said, you can get it for $10 on Underdog with promo code FSE, or you can get it on Flock as well. So are we back? We're good. Still going.
Two more. Appreciate that. Pedro, appreciate the super chat. He says flex Godwin, Deontay, or Kirk. Ridley's his wide receiver 2 already. So
I go Godwin regardless, even if you didn't have Ridley.
Yeah, I would as well. Give me Chris Godwin. Got another super from Zach. He says Mike Williams, Kirk, DeAndre Swift, half PPR. So he added DeAndre Swift to this question, but my answer would still be, unchanged. I would still go with Mike Williams.
Yeah, and actually, it being half PPR leans me more towards Mike Williams because in full PPR, I'd probably lean towards Kirk a little bit more, but Mike Williams is the big play guy, so I'd probably go with him there as well.
Yep. So we're all caught up on supers.
All right. So Miguel, all the way back to the beginning of the stream, Swift or Javonte? Give me DeAndre Swift there, Miguel. You got anything?
I got slightly on Javonte, but I mean,
really, you actually would take Javonte over Swift?
That's close enough to the point where I have no real conviction either way. However, like I just love the upside of the Las Vegas matchup.
I do as well, but as crazy as it sounds, like I'm way more confident in Swift's role in week 1.
Are you though?
I am, yeah, because he got the night off in the final preseason game. And I think he's going to be the starting back, 50-ish, 55% of the snaps.
And I would agree that he's probably going to be the starting back. However, I do think the built-in volatility there is maybe not as on par with Javonte, but I do think that the matchup way prefer, sorry, Javonte's matchup to Swift. So I would go with Javonte, but again, there's no real conviction either way for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Got another super here real quick. David, appreciate the super chat. He says second running back, Jay Williams or Jerick McKinnon. So if that's
I'm assuming that's Javonte, but it could be Jamal Williams as well. I'm not
if that's
sure.
Jamal or Javonte, I'm going with them over Jerick still.
Yeah.
Especially
I'm going.
I mean, there's
I'll take the risk on the rookie tight end. I'll go Kincaid over these guys.
And there's no scoring here, but especially if it's a half PPR, like you easily lean them. And even in a full PPR, I understand Jerick's going to be involved, but just give me the workload of the other Jay Williams, whichever one that actually refers to.
Yeah, I honestly think that between CEH and Jerick McKinnon, there's going to be like a lot of cannibalizing each other. I think Pacheco's the only one who's going to have like a consistent role like week over week this entire season.
Yep. Sounds good. So we're all caught up on supers right now. Let's try to crank through some of these comments. Who should I start out of? This is Gibson easily for me.
Yeah, give me Gibson there as well. Need 2 running backs in a flex full PPR. Javonte, Mostert, London, Pacheco, and Sky. So 2 running backs. Pacheco is one of them, and Mostert is the other for me. And then
London.
Drake London would be the wide receiver or the flex. Sorry.
If that only said 1 running back and 2 flexes, you probably still got to go with the same.
No,
players,
I would still go the same 3 names, even if that was
I want every excuse to get Sky in my lineup, but I got to be fucking reasonable.
And Pacheco
here.
loses some in PPR, so maybe you could make the argument there, but I'm definitely
still got to go with the workload.
Yeah, definitely going there. So Burner says favorite player props tonight. I'm glad you brought that up because this is my my underdog pick'em slip for the night. Sam Laporta 30.5 receiving yards higher. Jahmyr Gibbs 31.5 receiving yards higher. Jared Goff 1.5 passing touchdowns higher. Harrison Butker, sneaky little kicker talk here. 1.5 field goals made higher as well. These Thursday night games often are very sloppy, and I think it lends itself to a lot of field goal kicks. So definitely like that. For what it's worth too, the Jahmyr Gibbs one specifically, that 31.5 is from our sponsors over at Elite Picks. So if you guys are diehard bettors and you intend to bet on the NFL this year, we have a link down below in the description for a 7-day free trial to get your picks from like pro handicappers, guys that are way more knowledgeable than me and Danny are when it comes to actual betting. So definitely check them out. And of course, this is from Underdog, this pick'em slip. So if you guys want to check out Underdog, you can get right now there's actually a Patrick Mahomes half yard special going right now. So essentially a free square that you guys can use. And if you want, you could tail the rest of my picks along with that Mahomes one. And that would be a 5 picks pays out, 20x or something like that.
Yeah.
If you hit all 5 of them, or you could insure them and get paid out 10x for 4 out of 5 or whatever. So shout out to Burner for the easy transition to the plug there. Tony, anytime touchdown. I mean, as much as I'm a very big stan of Tony anytime touchdowns, as somebody who won a lot of money on one on the Super Bowl, I would say that that is a risky proposition for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%. So let's smash these back. Let's try to get to as many as possible. And quick note, actually, as I said that, we got one more super chat we got to quickly get to. So gotta buy my way to the front of the line. Y'all so popular now. Appreciate that up front. That's good though. Well done this offseason. Could you check out my cue from earlier? Can you remind us of it? I can click down if you type it again, but I mean, given the lineup right now, it's going to be really, really hard for me to track it. So just re-comment it and I'll be happy to get it for you.
Yeah. Also, big shout out to everybody that's like done a consult with us, because I'm starting to just like know exactly who you guys like. I've done a couple with Efren at this point, and Brandon also super chatted earlier. I did one with him, so it's cool that we get to I get to put a face to your guys' stuff now a lot.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's just building the community, like getting to know you guys more, like on a personal level, understanding, oh, like this is my portfolio, like this is, how many teams I'm in, this is what my league dynamic is. Just learning some of that stuff about you guys, honestly, is just invaluable information even for us, because at the end of the day, like as little as you think it might impact how we plan our videos, well, if we learn more about what you guys like to watch, what you guys genuinely are interested in, it makes our jobs a lot easier. So I just wanted to say appreciate that. It was very long-winded to say appreciate you guys nonetheless for actively trying to build that community with us.
Yeah, Danny's out here backpedaling his comments.
Backpedaling? What backpedal?
Also, big shout out to Spicy God. He's our mod in the background. He says, please only ask your questions once. Again, we go in the order that they're given to us and then super skip the line. So if you want to get your questions answered, you can also just get in here early, right? Like get in here right away, put the noties on and ask your question right away. And then obviously kind of wait your turn there. So Efren's got his question here.
Yep, he's got his question. Was asking who gets the biggest bump from Kelsey being out, then wondering if I should start McKinnon over Herbert as well as Sky Moore over Pickens. So for the
Sky
first
gets
one,
the biggest bump in Sky
by far.
and you're starting him over Pickens.
Yeah, easily you're starting
But
him
I
over
would go
Pickens,
Khalil
and he
Herbert
gets
over McKinnon, personally.
Yeah, in a heartbeat. Appreciate the super chat nonetheless there, friend.
Yeah, I'm going to rip through like 3 in a row myself, and
Swift.
then you rip through 3 in a row yourself. I'll click the questions for you. So
Sure.
Swift or McKinnon is my RB2. I'm going Swift there. We already answered that for you. One, again, please only ask your questions once. Spicy. Is he asking about Spicy?
He's answering Spicy's question.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
James Cook, Herbert, or Dotson, half PPR. Give me Jahan Dotson there, James. Full PPR, two Ayuk, Dotson, Mostert. Oh, I think we already answered this.
We already answered it.
Ayuk and
Mostert.
Yeah, full PPR sketch, but I would probably still go Ayuk and Mostert as well.
I got this. Sky Moore easily over Gabe Davis for me personally. I'm assuming you agree.
Yeah. I agree. Mike actually tweeted this at me earlier today. He said when he tweeted this, I thought it said Bijan Robinson, and I almost shit my pants. But he said someone dropped Brian Robinson. How much fab? $100 budget, super flex redraft. I'd be willing to drop like $30 on Brian Robinson if he was available on the waiver wire, probably.
Yeah.
Half PPR Mostert or Deontay Johnson. I will take Raheem Mostert there, Mark.
Yeah, I agree. Give me Mostert all day.
This is a gross question. Dobbs, Van Jefferson, Thielen, or Nico? I'll probably take
easy.
Nico there, to be honest. Van's got a horrible matchup.
Easily give me Nico, man. I think there's a legitimate possibility that game environment could be relatively higher than people expect, man. The playing against the Ravens, I think that Ravens offense is not going to be your typical slow run the ball type of offense that we've seen in the past for Roman. Like, I think they're going to throw the ball against all over the yard. Like, Lamar Jackson is my quarterback 3 this week. I really think that this could be 35, 40 pass attempts from Lamar Jackson. I do think that the Texans, as high as I am on the Ravens, could be a sneaky cover play. I think the line's 10 right now.
I literally bet on it. Yeah. So I'm in a pick'em league, like with a couple of my buddies. It's like a weekly winners kind of structure, basically, where everybody puts $50 in. There's 20 people in the tournament, and then the winner each week with the tiebreakers and stuff gets the $50 each week, and you could win, multiple times. But I took the Texans because, I mean, sneakily, the Texans were one of the best defenses against fantasy quarterbacks last year. They were like top 3 in terms of adjusted fantasy points allowed, and they actually got a little bit better on defense. So I think they could keep that game close. And even if they're down 10 point, like they're 10-point dogs, Nico Collins will probably get some work in the passing game, and Marlon Humphrey's out, and their secondary is a little decimated right now.
100%. So I don't know if we missed this. I thought we answered your question here, but it does show that you did super chat again, Steele. So my apologies if we did miss this. Full PPR, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. So he says pick 2, Deontay, Javonte, Addison, Sky, Judy. Convince me not to play Sky more tonight. I'm super.
You can play Sky if you want. Him and Deontay are close enough. Like, I would play Addison for.
I would play Sky over him.
Who?
I'd play Sky over Addison. So I
would play Addison and Sky.
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, baby. You'd play both over Deontay, eh?
Yeah.
That's a hot take.
Maybe. I'm the Deontay Johnson guy, but he has a pretty brutal matchup against San Fran. So, and the offensive defensive line mismatch is like the biggest in the NFL this week. San Fran's D line versus Pittsburgh's O line. So I think they're going to have some trouble scoring, and I just want the implied point totals of the the Chiefs and the Vikings offenses. They're both implied for like 25 plus points this week.
I don't mind that, man. I don't mind that. Like, Deontay's the safe play, but man, if you want to live a little, like, I understand. Like, we're gonna
honestly, I'm starting to go against the whole safe play thing and think that the safe play is going to be the player that plays for the good team.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? Like, I like the Steelers, and I think they can be better this year. But San Fran's a tough defense to go up against in week 1, so I personally go Addison and Sky there if you're feeling like living a little, like you said. Jonathan says, how's my home league team look? Lamar, Breece Hall, Swift, Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, Kittle, London, Ayuk, Elijah Moore, Elijah Mitchell. Pretty well-balanced team there. I've seen crazier, but definitely in good shape there. Sky seems big upside. Yeah, a lot of Sky Moore questions coming in today. Half PPR, Montgomery or Madison. I'll take Alexander Madison there personally. Yep, I don't know if you're on the same page there.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's go. What's going on, Toronto Dave?
Toronto Dave.
PPR, Mike Williams or Sky Moore?
I gotta go
Mike Williams.
Yeah, you gotta go Mike. Look, dude, I want to start Sky over so many of these ones, but I mean, I gotta be reasonable here. Mike Williams, the top 20 wide receiver for me this week.
Yep. Gabe Davis or Khalil Herbert. I'll take Khalil Herbert there. I don't want anything to do with DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner.
Yeah, amen. Start 2
Uh,
PPR, Gibbs, Montgomery, Mostert, and Ayuk. I'm just going to go with Gibbs and Mostert here.
yes, I will go.
The
I
PPR is
personally go
throwing
Gibbs
you
and
right now.
Ayuk. Personally, I would go Gibbs and Ayuk.
I just think the matchup against the Chargers, Devon Achane dealing with that shoulder injury, Jeff Wilson already on the pup. Like, if he's getting 15 to 20 opportunities in that game environment, man,
I know.
like it's gonna be hard for Mostert not to smash. And as much as I like Ayuk, he's still competing for targets with Kittle, assuming he plays. Obviously, if that groin injury does materialize, you can make that decision then. Re-ask on Sunday morning if George Kittle is ruled out, we'd probably say Ayuk. But for right now, given the median projection, I do think I have to go with Mostert. Not to mention, there's like sneaky touchdown opportunity there with no real goal line back on that team. What's stopping Mostert from getting inside the 5 carries on what should be a very, very high scoring matchup?
Just because we're hyping Mostert up so much, I'm already sensing at like 4:57 p.m. Eastern time, Raheem Mostert's headed to the medical tent. I'm already calling
Probably.
it right now. Like it's
No, our
probably
luck.
going to happen. But anyways,
No, our luck. We got a quick super here from Austin. Appreciate that. He's Laporta or Komet, half
live a
PPR.
little, play Laporta.
Live a little, baby. That's exactly what
Cole
I was gonna
Kmet
say.
is the definition of milk toast,
Condom.
man. Like I'm not.
Condom.
It's Thursday night. It's kickoff week. I'm playing Laporta. Fuck it.
Buddy, do you want your Weedos for breakfast or do you want some pancakes with some syrup? Because I'll tell you right now, Laporta some pancakes.
Yeah, protein pancakes.
Amen.
Go Chiefs. Price 33 says.
I
We
respect
love to
it.
see it. Good shit, Jonathan. Does King Henry still have juice? Straight line speed, absolutely. Side to side, lateral agility, it might be fading a little bit.
Yeah, the efficiency's going down, and it's not because he suddenly can't run a 4.5. It's because those little micro movements for an older player, like your knees are going to get worse, your ankles are going to get worse. Like it's just going to happen as you get older with the touches under your workload. So again, behind that offensive line, man, I am getting a little bit worried, especially against that Saints front in starting Henry. Again, you have to start him as an RB1 because of the workload we could
He's
project.
quickly on my sell list if he has big games early
Yeah.
on in the season, though.
Absolutely.
Full PPR, pick one, Swift, Hall, and Jackson. I'm taking DeAndre Swift there, especially in full PPR.
Yeah,
Andrew, need one, Denver, Pats, or Seattle D this week. So Pats, I believe, against the Eagles, Denver against the Raiders, and then Seattle against the Rams. I'll take the Seahawks personally there.
I just think Denver's a better real life defense than Seattle, and Las Vegas is not as bad of not as bad of an offense as the Rams, but they're still pretty bad.
Seahawks are at home, I believe. Is Denver at home? Is the question I'm looking right now.
I think they are. I'm not 100%, but I think they are.
Raiders. Where are we? Broncos are at home as well. Yeah, Mile High. I'll switch my answer there. I'll take the Broncos as well. They are the better real life defense.
I respect it.
Also, should I start Deion Jackson over Brees since it's up in the air and punted running? So I'm literally in the same situation. I'm opting to live a little and start Brees Hall.
If I'm going to take the L because I'm starting an elite talent running back a week too early over a literal jag, oddly enough, he's playing in the Jags, but a literal jag in Deion Jackson, who was incredibly inefficient even when he got the playing time last year. And we don't even know is going to handle a full workload. What if Evan Hull breaks it into a 45%?
Zach Moss is practicing. He might legitimately be the starter for that team. So, I mean, if you have DeAndre Swift, if you have David Montgomery, if you have Miles Sanders, Raheem Mostert, Alexander Madison, sit Brees Hall for those guys. But I'm not fucking around and sitting playing Deion
live a little,
Jackson.
Live a little,
live a little, exactly. Plus, I want to enjoy. I have the little Monday Night Football bring back then Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, and Brees Hall, my first 3-round picks in my home league.
Let's ride.
Sky Moore, Elijah Moore, Dotson, Godwin. Yeah, I'm taking Chris Godwin there.
Chris Godwin. Great.
What Kelsey going to do? Hopefully he's going to be back next week. He's got 10 days off now.
If I have Mark Andrews, you think likely is the better play this week? Well, I mean, I think he's assuming this because Mark Andrews, I believe, has a Q tag right now. I think Mark Andrews is just going to play, but if Mark Andrews doesn't play, I mean, where does likely kind of go in your rankings? Like he's got to be a fringe.
I would still play Gerald Everett over Isaiah Likely, and he's like my tight end 13 or 14. So I wouldn't like launch him all the way up the boards just because Andrews is out. Like I think a lot of the times we assume the tight ends just are going to take over the role. They're not running backs, man. Like they don't just automatically. Usually teams are going to deploy a tight end by committee if the starting tight end is out.
Yep. No, 100%.
But we did see Likely get a decent workload anytime that Andrews has been out. I don't know. I'm not super excited about that. Full PPR pick 2, Javonte, Dotson, Hall, and Dobbins. So Dobbins 100% is in my lineup, as is Jahan Dotson probably.
Yeah, agreed. Same page.
He already asked
Here.
that question
Oh,
there. Sky
there's the question.
Moore over on yards underdog with Kelsey out. So let me actually look right now what his higher or lower
He's
is
got to be the
on
highest chief, right?
45.5 receiving yards. Yeah, he is the highest chief. Valdez Scantling has 42.5. Kadarius Toney, by the way, 30.5 receiving yards. I'm taking the lower any day of the week on that number.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to hit that at all.
Yeah,
So yeah,
no.
definitely check
Well,
that out.
that
Sky
Sky
over
number,
Pickens. Yeah, definitely Sky over
real
Pickens.
quick, that Sky number is really low, man. I kind of want to get juice on that if I was eligible.
Yeah, I mean,
45 and a half.
So for what it's worth, like the pick'em slip that I showed you guys, I just literally duplicated it on a FanDuel parlay. Because I want to still like have some skin in the game when I'm telling you guys a pick'em slip. But yeah, that's basically what I'm doing.
Well, with Kelsey out, I mean, if you're doing the math there, and by the way, of course I got to change my battery in a second. I'm just going to quickly say this. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. If we're expecting Mahomes to throw 35, 38, maybe even 40 plus passes this week, Sky Moore getting to 45, operating as the team's wide receiver 1, is literally like 1.1, 1.2 yards per team pass attempt. If he's just on the field, like he sleepwalks into that. But
yeah, no, that's fair. All right, I'll throw you in the back seat. I'll rip through as many questions as I can while you change that out. 2 QB league, Kirk or Goff. I think I have these guys literally back to back. Let me actually look right now because they're both really good options this week. I'm a psycho and I just want to watch football tonight and have some stake in the game. So that's enough for me to just go with Jared Goff. Jared Goff has the better matchup. The Buccaneers defense isn't the best in the world. I can speak for my own D, but we are better than the Kansas City Chiefs defense, especially in a game total that's expected to be really high. You get an opportunity for Goff to play some catch up there. What would you say Brian Robinson's ceiling is on a given week? I mean, he can punch in 2 touchdowns, but on the ceiling case for his whole season, I would say he's probably limited to like a mid RB2, kind of like what Miles Sanders was last year. I don't think he would be any better than that unless Antonio Gibson was out and he just suddenly got pass catching work. But he's limited to like a 2-down grinder for like a middling offense at best. I mean, we believe in Washington, but I don't think they're going to be like a top 10 offense. The best case is that they're like offense, 14 to 20 somewhere. Dub Kai says, let's fucking go, fellas. What's going on? Pablo says, Dak, rate my team. Dak, Tua, Hill, Pollard, J.K. Dobbins, Mostert, Jonathan Taylor, Zeke, Devontae Smith, Higgins, London, Thielen, Younghoe Koo, and Washington defense. I don't see a tight end on this team, but I guess that's fine. Tight ends kind of suck anyway. I love the team. You're going to be able to work in Jonathan Taylor back once he comes back from injury. So yeah, definitely a good situation there. Leonardo says Burks, Dotson, Montgomery, or Javonte start 2 full PPR. Already playing Gibbs. So Dotson 100% is in my lineup. I think because you're already playing Gibbs, I go Javonte over Montgomery because they're like close in my rankings already. And I don't really want to play both Lions running backs, although it's a good enough game script that you could probably do it.
Yeah, 100% here. Just give me a second. I'm figuring out this camera. All right, perfect. What was the question real quick?
It was Dotson, Burks, Montgomery, or Javonte, and I said I would probably sit Montgomery knowing that you're already playing Gibbs and go with Dotson and Javonte.
Yeah, I don't mind that because you're just limiting your upside if you start both backs.
At face value, Montgomery's slightly higher in my rankings, but I would not. I don't want to play both lines running backs if I can.
That's just the double condom. It's like, yay, when I'm on the goal line, I can cheer for one of my guys scoring a touchdown. Or on the flip side, if you just have one of them in your lineup, you just cheer for them getting the touchdown. Like, I don't understand the aspect of, like, for example, I want to start Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift every week. Like, cool. If you're starting DeAndre Swift and he gets cucked by Jamal Williams, like, are you happy or are you sad? Like, make your decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, one last thing on Underdog, and then we'll answer some more questions. They are really pushing their in-game pick'ems too. So if you guys want to kind of see how the game looks, like if it looks sloppy football and that kind of stuff, you can actually do in-game pick'ems, and they reset the point totals and stuff during halftime of the game. And I think you can bet them up until like, midway through the fourth quarter, early in the fourth quarter or something like that. So Dalvin Cook or Jerick McKinnon flex half PPR. I'm going to take, kind of gross. Just let me live. I want to watch the game tonight and have a guy in the game. So give me Jerick McKinnon if I'm in your situation. B-Rob or Sky. I'm taking Sky Moore there as well. Rylan, same answer. Yep. I want to watch Sky Moore play tonight if I'm in your situation.
Sky, maybe.
Just drafted Hurts, Bijan, James Cook, Garrett Wilson, Calvin Ridley, David Njoku, Jahan Dotson, Cooper Kupp in the 5th round Alvin
I'll take
Kamara,
him
Jonathan
there.
Taylor. So you're taking all the discounts, all the suspension and injuries that you can possibly find. I would say fire. I mean, I think you're going to be able to get by with these guys. And if you do get a healthy Cooper Kupp and a
Fire.
healthy Jonathan Taylor and maybe Alvin Kamara something at some point in the season, then you're going to be cooking with gas there, Alex. So definitely a good job.
Real quick, I do see a question super late on based on the manifesto, and I'll just answer it real quick. So Joe Tay says, does the manifesto and weekly rankings last the whole season, or will it be a recurring weekly payment? No, it will not be a recurring weekly payment. If you pay once, whether that's through Underdog or whether that's through your site membership, once you pay it, so if you buy the annual package, of course, you'll get full access every single week, because you'll literally be covered for a year. If you get the monthly access, then of course it will recur monthly if you're a Flock member. But if you're on Underdog, you deposit $10, get a $10 match pack on the site. Like, the rankings are going to be free to you. Like week 1, week 7, week 12, we go into fantasy playoffs in week 16. It's not going to be a week by week basics where we charge, $10, $15. Like, no, if you pay once, you're getting it throughout the year.
Yeah, and of course, use code FSE to get that with the Underdog
100%.
thing there. So Miguel says, got to start one of these: Sky Moore, Christian Kirk, Chris Godwin, Raheem Mostert. Have Chase, Cooper, Pollard, Walker as my starters. So I'm going Chris Godwin of these options.
Over
They're all
Mostert.
relatively close, I would say. Christian Kirk, Chris Godwin, and Raheem Mostert are all kind of up in the air there for me.
Over Mostert? Godwin?
Yeah, I would start Godwin over Mostert.
Half PPR,
really good game environment for the Bucs in this game, and the Vikings are awful against pass catchers.
Half or full PPR?
He didn't specify here, but
Okay.
if it's full,
In
I'm
a full,
definitely
I would agree with
Godwin.
In a full, I'd lean Godwin. What about in a half? Are you still taking Godwin?
I think so.
I'm willing to make that. Mostert versus
Yeah, well,
Godwin,
we could do it as a half bet. I'm down. Half PPR, Spicy. Write it down. Chris Godwin for me,
baby.
Raheem Mostert for Danny.
Yes, sir. I hate putting all my eggs into the Mostert basket, but
he's going to be at the medical tent by 2 minutes into the second quarter, guaranteed at this point.
If he has to eat that for my Devon A-Chain stock to soar, then I will.
Yeah, I do have some Devon. So. I do have. I have. You know what? I actually didn't know. I have 18% Devon A-Chain in Best Ball Mania 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Bro, you were like Loki, like the A-Chain hater. How do you have so much?
Well, I mean, for what it's worth, he did go to like literally the best possible landing spot he could have gone to.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I also have him in my home league too. So yeah, I have a lot of stock into some Devon A-Chain this season. It's a little wild because you're right. I wasn't super high on him coming out of Texas A&M, but Pablo says Kenneth Walker ? It sounds like he's I think he's asking this because Kenneth Walker popped up on the injury report today, I think. He was limited for today's practice with a groin injury, which is the same injury that they talked about a couple weeks ago during the training camp process. So that's not great news for Kenneth Walker. I do not have Charbonnet anywhere in any home leagues, unfortunately. I do have him in the Can't Wait League though, in one of my dynasty leagues.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Real quick too on if that happens, if he does miss time, like Charbonnet, how high does he go in your rankings if Walker's not able to suit up this week?
If Charbonnet's starting,
well, assuming Walker's out, like you're gonna just assume that information right there, because obviously they can just say, yeah, it's gonna be committee, but like Charbonnet's gonna be the guy.
Yeah, Charbonnet be a top 13, 14 running back for me, probably right in around where I have J.K. Dobbins and Jahmyr Gibbs ranked right now.
Yeah. I agree there. Real quick, we did go out a super chat here from Carlos. Appreciate that $5 super chat. He says, quarterback Kirk, wide receiver 1, Justin Jefferson does get that Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson stack. Love that. I don't think I have to read the rest of the team because Jefferson, Diggs, Hall, Walker, CeeDee Lamb, Mark Andrews. Your team is absolutely loaded. Even the bench is absolutely loaded still. He asked now, should he trade JT for Trevor Lawrence? If you want an upgrade at quarterback, I don't hate it. But honestly, given the rest of your team, I don't know, man. Like I think
I'm holding JT in your situation probably.
Yeah,
like I mean, Lawrence versus Cousins, it's an upgrade, but like Jonathan Taylor added to this team, you'd be just really, really cooking.
Because you have the affordability to just wait on JT's injury, because realistically, you have the depth. Depth is an understatement in this situation everywhere else. So at this point, once JT comes back, it's week 5. And you add him back to your lineup, the wins over replacement at the running back position you would then have for JT would be monstrous. So I agree. I would just hold JT in this situation.
Yeah. Oh, you want to hear something hilarious? My landlord texted me. He's never played fantasy before. And he's like, I have a fantasy draft with my company. Nobody really plays fantasy. Like there's a couple people that have played it before. Do you want to help with the draft or whatever? And I sent him the manifesto. And he came out of the draft. This is his team. Jalen Hurts, Travis Etienne, Breece Hall, Tyreek Hill, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Calvin Ridley, George Kittle, Chris Godwin, Javonte Williams. And then his bench is Deontay Johnson, Jahan Dotson, Raheem Mostert, Khalil Herbert, Jalen Warren, and Tank Bigsby.
So he's cutting those rent rates for you when he wins the league, right?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so.
Don't kill me.
He's like, is this good? And I was like, yes, this is good.
Very good.
Because he doesn't know anything about football either. So it's not even just that he just followed my rankings and used the cheat sheet.
That team is ridiculous. But Julian Super Chat here, appreciate that. He says start 2, Sky Moore, Isaiah Pacheco, Charbonnet. Quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. So I would honestly just go with the two Chiefs right now.
Chiefs
like
it up.
I guess
some fun tonight.
Like, I guess you can say, like, oh, like, you know, if Walker misses, like Charbonnet. If we knew the information right now that Walker was missing, then of course I would go with Charbonnet. But just give me the two Chiefs here. Like, realistically, even if Charbonnet does become the running back one there, he's going to be like the RB 13 or 14 in my rankings. Like, Pacheco's already my RB 16. So worst case, you take a slight loss there in terms of like where I'd have him ranked. But at the same time, like if Walker plays, Charbonnet's what? RB 37, RB 40 in your rankings?
Yeah, like I think Pacheco's a good enough option to roll with right now.
Agreed. And again, appreciate the super chat there, Julian. We are caught up on supers. So you can get back to where we were. And let's try to wrap up as many comments as we can within, you know, the next 20-ish minutes.
Yep. Sean says full PPR running back spot, David Montgomery or Cam Akers this week. I'll take David Montgomery, honestly.
Yeah.
He says he's starting St. Brown already. I don't really care that much. I'll play both lines there.
Yep. By the way, for those that are like spamming with all caps at the bottom, like your question over and over again, we are going in a line. The only way to skip the line is to donate. So in terms of super chat. So if you're just, you know, spamming a bunch of comments, this or that, this or that, this or that at the 8:02 mark of the stream, like it's going to be a while before we get there.
Spicy's going to drop his wrench on you guys.
He's going to drop this wrench.
If you want your questions answered, the other way is to make sure you're subscribed and hit the noti so you get in here early enough that you get your question answered. So Richardson or Cousins, 6 point for passing touchdown. I will take Kirk Cousins there, especially in a 6-point league. Wanye says pick one for full PPR: Breece Hall, Devon A-Chain, Zach Charbonnet, or Damian Harris.
Breece Hall as of now, but if Walker gets ruled out, then Charbonnet.
Yeah, or if I guess we're just inventing this Raheem Mostert injury. Never mind. I thought he was actually hurt. Never mind. Breece Hall, yeah, that's who I'm going with as well.
Is that what you were thinking right there? You're like, Mostert's out.
Yeah, I'm like, Mostert might be injured. No, he's literally, I'm just making this up. Raheem Mostert, I'm going with as well there. Trevor, I would go with him over David Montgomery. Pat Freiermuth or Laporta tonight. I'm going with Freiermuth.
Yeah, Freiermuth. Pick 2 full PPR: Addison, Gibson, Tony, Breece. I'm honestly just going with the first two. Yeah.
Happy late birthday, Bush. Yeah, appreciate it, Bobcat. Hope you had an awesome birthday. I did indeed. We had our fantasy draft, and I got sniped on Bijan Robinson, so it was terrible.
Why did I say appreciate that? I just took that in. That's not my birthday.
You weren't paying attention, probably.
My bad.
Jets defense or Chiefs defense week 1. I don't really want to play either of them.
Give me the Jets.
Somebody else, drop them and play a different team.
If you have to go with either of these, just give me the Jets because at least like they're a
better defense, but I don't want to play the defenses. I'm totally not married to holding and rostering just the Jets. Like you're probably like, I don't want to drop the Jets defense because they're a good defense, but like I don't really care. Like I'm just going to cycle the waiver wire for defenses. I would rather pick up the Commanders or the Jaguars or the Ravens who play CJ Stroud. Like just get a better matchup defense here is my advice.
Like, dude, go get the Ravens off the waiver wire if they're there. Go get the Commanders. Go get a team like that. Like don't put yourself
if you can or something. I don't know.
Like I'm sorry, like the answer would be the Jets here, but don't put yourself through a Monday Night Football watching your starting fantasy defense have to fucking contain Josh Allen on a primetime game. That's like that sounds like one of the least enjoyable experiences I've ever heard.
Yeah, definitely not an enjoyable experience here. So Michael says PPR need one for flex. ETN or Travis Etienne is definitely my answer for that one. Separate question: PPR need one for flex. Godwin or Watson? I mean, even if Watson plays, I'm going Godwin there.
Yep.
Would you do Debo and Andrews for Kittle and Waddle? This is an interesting question. I think I lean Debo and Andrews here. What do you think?
This is tricky, man. It just depends on the difference you find between Waddle, Debo versus Kittle, Andrews. See, the roster settings would actually influence my answer here, because if it's a 3 wide receiver, 1 flex, 3 wide receiver, 2 flex league, I would favor the upgrade at wide receiver and go with the Waddle Kittle side. But if it's like your 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, give me the advantage at tight end. So this is right on the fence here, and I would say, like, let us know what the actual roster settings of your league so we can determine this a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure. I actually have a start sit question for you here. In my get faded league, this is the league that I smurfed on a lot of people with the Bijan trade, where I traded Jameson Williams, the 111, and like the 201 for Bijan. The team is looking pretty loaded, but I do have a flex decision here between Brandon Ayuk, Drake London, and Alexander Madison. What say you?
Can you repeat that? So Drake London, Alexander Madison, and who?
Ayuk.
I personally would still go with Drake London. It's full PPR.
I have Ayuk in the spot right now.
So I have London higher than Ayuk. You have Ayuk higher than London. That's the micro difference. Yeah. Real quick, I do see Franklin does provide some context to his question, so I'll just quickly get to it. He says, super flex with 1 additional flex, 2 wide receivers, 2 running back, 1 tight end. Because it's only 1 additional flex and it's only 2 wide receiver spots, give me the advantage that Mark Andrews gives you there pretty easily.
Yeah, super flex leagues. There's been documentation from like Blair Andrews and Sean Siegel and stuff that having elite tight ends really does help elevate you. And as much as Kittle's still an elite tight end as well, it's Andrews is the better projection.
Yep, absolutely.
Jesse says need to pick 3 for this week: Deontay, DJ Moore, Chris Godwin, and Ayuk. I'm sitting Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
Javonte. I mean, fuck. I'll go with Javonte of the ACL bros, but I don't love it. To be honest, I don't really. You flip a coin with these two guys. I trust the Broncos to give Javonte more work than the Jets to give Breece more work. That's basically what it comes down to.
They're like mid-end RB3s in our rankings to basically sum that up there, Jeremy.
Yeah, hopefully by week 4 we're not saying that, but for now we're probably not trying to put them in our lineup. Cole says full PPR Sky, Deontay Johnson, or Cortland Sutton.
Listen,
I have Deontay Johnson higher, but if you want to live a little and play Sky more tonight, I'm not going to argue with you.
Again, this could totally backfire, and I understand. Like,
if he plays like 12 snaps tonight, it could be bad.
Listen, there's going to be people like coming back to the stream like for tomorrow. They're going to be commenting, "Can't believe you told me to start Sky Moore. He dropped 2.3 PPR points in my lineup." That is a risk here. We're not saying he's not a volatile player. He is absolutely a volatile play. But if he's working into 2 wide receiver sets and he can get access to 86%, which basically mathematically the Chiefs were running 11 and 12 personnel last year of Patrick Mahomes passing volume. Yeah, I want that player. I play to win my league. I don't play to, do the condom play here. Go live a little, man.
Yeah, especially with Kelsey out. I mean, that's enough of a tiebreaker to make me do it. Pick 2 full PPR, Addison and I think we already answered that, but Addison and Gibson were the ones that we would go with. Logan Thomas or Kincaid, bro. What is that? Logan Thomas, I can't believe he's even rostered in a league, but give me Dalton Kincaid.
Where did Logan Thomas come from here?
For what it's worth, he does have like one of the easiest matchups this week, but I'm just definitely not doing that.
That's hilarious. That's just so out of nowhere. Like, I was not prepared to see Logan Thomas in a question right now.
In the year 2023, we're asking about Logan Thomas. Let's fucking go, boys. Let's get after it. Lions +5 tonight. So in my pick'em pool, I did take the Chiefs -5.
I like the Chiefs, yeah. But I mean,
Rolando, Juwan Johnson, or Laporta replacement for Kelsey. I am going Laporta. I'm living a little.
Yeah, amen.
Honestly, even if I wasn't living a little, I think
Juwan Johnson is such a sorry, Lasardo, because we literally had to tell you to start Juwan Johnson earlier because the other option was Noah Gray. But Juwan Johnson is just such a sexless start, man. Like, are you kidding me? If I ever have to put freaking Juwan Johnson as my starting tight end in my lineup, like, please don't let it get to that far. Please. That's all I bet.
That's bad. All right. So what do we got here? Pierce, Pacheco, or Deion Jackson? Choose 2 full PPR. Deion Jackson will ride the bench forever and always.
Yes.
Really trying to find a reason not to play Sky, but I'm so high on him. Yeah, we get you, Theo. We understand. Start/sit 1 guy at running back, 2, 1 guy at the flex. PPR Sky Moore. I'm going Sky and Mostert here. You're sitting Herbert.
Yep.
Thoughts on CEH? Maybe an anytime touchdown bet is in order.
Isn't it 33-1, right?
Wouldn't play him.
Isn't this anytime touchdown like 33-1?
Yeah, it's like 46-1. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which is a decent chunk of change for a CEH anytime. It might not be that low now. People are probably hammering it. Start tight end Kincaid or Ferguson and start Tony or wait for Watson and then pivot to Charbonnet or Mitchell. Okay, so Kincaid is the option that I would go with at tight end, and then Tony or wait for Watson. I would just wait for Watson. Tony is not a good enough option to pivot off of right now. And then if you have to play Charbonnet or Mitchell, then you have to play Charbonnet or Mitchell.
Yeah, I would agree there.
And Charbonnet is the guy I would lean with Walker banged up at the moment.
Gibbs or Jones? Give me Jahmyr Gibbs there. Glock, appreciate the $2 super chat.
Although I do think Jones is in a pretty good spot this week.
Yeah, top 15 back.
JSN, Burks, DPJ, or Quentin Johnson. I'll take Smith and Jigba there.
Yeah, same. Like top 35-ish expectation for you as well?
Yeah, give or take. I'm not like Burks is practicing in full, so he would be kind of in that conversation. QJ and DPJ, I just don't think the snaps and the routes are going to be totally there for them. So I'm probably not going to play either of those guys.
We're going to get a lot of Sky versus Deontay.
We're just getting a lot of Sky in general. This is just Sky City.
Yeah.
Again,
Sky is the limit, baby.
Yeah, Sky is the live a little pick, but Deontay is the smarter
sensible
projection.
Pick. It's like if you got, you know, according to my calculations, okay, go with Deontay. But if you're having a few brews with the buddies, you know, maybe a couple guys come over, order a pizza, you know, you want to enjoy the game and want to fucking live a little, put Sky in your lineup.
Yes, that is definitely what you want to do.
We got another super chat real quick. K9 or McKinnon half PPR. Give me K9 there, assuming he plays. I'm assuming you agree. But the only problem is that you're not going to know if he does.
You'll find a better pivot option than McKinnon anyway, even if you had to scrounge the waiver wire.
You got to put fucking Gus Edwards in, so be it. You know what I mean? McKinnon, Kirk, or JSN and a half. I would go Kirk. I'm assuming you agree.
Kirk is definitely where I'm going there as well.
Yep.
Sky Moore or Mike Evans, literally back-to-back in my rankings, but I'm going Mike Evans.
Yeah. I have Mike Evans at 25, Sky at 30, I believe. So I would go with Mike.
Yes, and Spicy Hot says 150 people in here. Let's get the likes up. I'm not exactly sure what the number is, but let's say, if, you know, for ease sake, it's probably 25 or 30 lower than it should be. So let's get the like number up, especially if we answered your question. Definitely hit the like button.
This can do. Fair exchange.
Exactly.
We do quickly have a super chat here from JT. JT, if you have a comment following this up, feel free to leave your question because it's going to be hard to track it right now. So just re-comment it again, and I promise you we'll go right to it.
Yep, for sure. My wide receiver 2, Sky Moore. I wonder if people need to start Sky Moore tonight.
Sky.
I'm going Sky here. This is like those are some sexless picks right there. Michael Thomas and Hollywood Brown. Bro. I mean, projection, target share wise, yeah, decent bets, but that's a sexless decision right there if you don't go with Sky Moore.
Yep, fair. So Sky Moore, wait for Christian. Oh, okay. So Spicy actually let us know what JT's question was. So JT, if you're watching right now, he asked Sky Moore or wait for Christian Watson. It fully depends on who your replacement options are. If you're in a deep league and you're waiting on Christian Watson and like your best options are like, I don't know, name like Adam Thielen and fucking like Marquez. I mean, Marquez Valdez-Scantling's playing tonight, but Paris Campbell and like not Jalen Tolbert. That's too gross. Like guys like that, basically like the wide receiver 40s and 50s of the world. Just start Sky over.
Did Jalen Tolbert even make the Cowboys roster?
He's a wide receiver 4. He's a wide receiver 4.
That's crazy.
He was actually pretty good in the preseason, but like regardless, just if you have sexless options on your bench, go with Sky, live a little. If you have some like Rashad Bateman's on your bench or I mean, I'm trying to think wide receiver 45 type of range. Rashad Bateman, Nico Collins, Treylon Burks, Gabe Davis, Jacoby Myers. Like if you have guys like that on your bench and you can afford to wait to see the status of Watson, I don't mind just waiting on Watson there.
Yeah. Beanie Weenie says flex, Brees, or Godwin standard league easily. Chris Godwin there for me.
Sorry, the way you just said Beanie Weenie had me.
Also, FanDuel has 2 super boosts right
Dots
now.
and Todd.
Let me know what you think the odds are of these right now. So one of the super boosts is Patrick Mahomes to record 275 plus passing yards and the Chiefs to win. What do you think the odds are on that?
How many yards in Chiefs to win?
275 plus, which is probably give or take his over under, I would imagine, and then Chiefs to win.
Plus 220?
No, it's plus 170 actually. It says
close.
Plus 120, now plus 170. And then this one's interesting too. Amon-Ra St. Brown anytime touchdown and Lions to win.
So you're probably getting like plus 250 juice on the Lions winning straight up. And then Amon-Ra anytime touchdown is probably another like plus 200. You're probably looking at what, like plus, I mean, I don't actually know how they calculate it, but like plus 700 maybe, plus 750?
Plus 550 is what we're looking at there.
Okay. A little off, but regardless.
I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna put a little bit of cash on the Mahomes and Chiefs to win one because that just seems like a lock to me.
Yeah.
Honestly, like
Plus
Mahomes to throw
170 may as well.
275 and Chiefs to win at home. I just think that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I'll take the plus money on
Uh,
a pretty easy bet.
so definitely fair. And for the record, so it's currently 8:20. Is kickoff at 8:25 or 8:30?
I honestly have no idea. I thought it was at
Fair.
8:15.
Fair. Regardless, so we'll get to the super chat. And again, if you guys still have questions that you need answered pertaining to players playing on Sunday, pertaining to players playing on Monday, come early on the Sunday morning live stream. I urge you guys, if you want your questions answered, come early because we're expecting 300-400 people in that live stream on Sunday morning. It will be hectic. People will be spamming questions throughout the chat. If you want your question answered, that's the only thing I ask is make sure you come early. Take this for what it is. Don't come on Sunday at like
12:55 p.m. Eastern time
and say, who should I start? Because I will tell you right now, we will not get to that question.
Yeah. But again, also turn the noties on so you come early. And also, if you want your questions answered in depth, in detail, so we're not rushing, we will have a Patreon. We don't use Patreon anymore. Flock Fantasy site subscribers only live stream noon Eastern on Saturday afternoon. So if you want, again, if you guys were super chatting and stuff, again, we appreciate the super chats, but save your money. You get a much better bang for your buck if you sign up on Flock Fantasy with code FSE for 30% off. You'll get a month's worth of private live streams essentially for the price of like 2 super chats.
Yep, absolutely. In terms of this final question, AJ Dillon or Dalvin Cook? Dalvin Cook's currently my running back 34 in my rankings. AJ Dillon as my running back 40. So I would slightly lean Dalvin.
Really, I would go AJ Dillon here.
I slightly lean Dalvin just because I'm not sure exactly what the split between him and Brees is going to be for week 1. Whereas
that's
I kind of
exactly
know
why I lean Dillon because I know what the split will be, and it's probably more than what Dalvin will get.
You think so, eh?
Yeah, I think.
What if it's like
Dillon's
50-50 in week 1?
45% guy.
For what it's worth, I have Dalvin at 34 and Brees at 29. So like they're very close to my rankings right now. I'm assuming there's a bigger gap for you.
I mean, I have Dillon in my top 35 right now.
I have Dillon at 40.
I have Dalvin just behind that at like 37, I think. So I actually do. I do think so. I have Dillon at 35 and I have Dalvin at 38. So yeah, they're pretty close, but I would go with Dillon.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I would go with Dalvin, but like they're relatively similar where if you just don't want to watch Dalvin Cook play or vice versa, if you want to just see the Monday night magic and you want to start Dalvin, like all for it, like they're relatively similar bets to be quite honest.
Yep. All right. So we're going to sign out of here. It sounds like they're doing the national anthem or something right now. It is 8:22 p.m. Eastern time. Again, appreciate you guys for joining us. Again, if you want to get some action going, head on over to Underdog Fantasy, use promo code FSE. You'll get our weekly rankings for free. You won't even have to join into these live streams and ask us questions because you'll have our rankings and you'll be able to just look off, oh, they have Brandon Ayuk higher than Drake London. We can go Brandon Ayuk and be on our merry way and you don't have to struggle through getting your question answered and all that good stuff. So appreciate you guys for joining us. Again, stay tuned for Danny doing the wide receiver tier list tomorrow. I'll be doing the running back tier list on Saturday. Texas, Alabama this weekend. Hook 'em horns. Let's go down to Tuscaloosa and beat that fraud of a team. But yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yep, absolutely. But I can't wait any longer. I got to go turn my fucking TV on. I got to go make my drink. I got to get ready because I'm not missing this kickoff and it might have just happened for what it's worth. So with that being said, take care, guys, and enjoy football. We are officially fucking back, baby. You better have a beer. You better have whatever snack you have and you better enjoy.